Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive myth floating around the marketing world, this idea that connected TV in India is just one single monolithic market. Honestly, if you're looking at the country as just one big digital living room, you are completely missing out on the incredible nuances of where the actual growth is happening. We're going to dig into some brand new 2026 data from YouTube's Reach Planner, published by the Media Ant, to see exactly how scale, cost efficiency, and the urban-rural divide are playing out on the ground. We'll be focusing specifically on the 5 states that are truly driving and reshaping Indian CTV growth right now: Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Kerala, and Telangana. So let's get into it.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by tackling the monolith myth, then look at the penetration ceiling, dive into why frequency is not engagement, explore the urban-rural reversal, highlight the untapped youth opportunity, and finally wrap up with the media planner's playbook.
All right, part 1, the monolith myth, dismantling the national average. To really understand the trap here, we first have to look at the headline number that absolutely everyone loves to quote. Kantar's Q1 2026 data boasts a massive 166 million monthly CTV viewers in India. That's up 23% year over year. I mean, it's a huge number, and it's super exciting. It proves that connected TV isn't just a niche, premium habit for city folks anymore. Smart TVs are getting cheaper, and fiber broadband has reached deep into smaller towns. But we really have to ask ourselves, while that massive national figure tells a brand that CTV is growing, does it actually tell you where to invest your next marketing rupee? Well, the short answer is absolutely not. A single national figure hides way more than it actually reveals. Because here's the reality. India is not just one giant market. It functions as 20-plus distinct, highly fragmented puzzle pieces. You literally can't not plan a campaign in Uttar Pradesh the exact same way you plan one in Kerala. The demographics, the infrastructure, the costs, they are all entirely different. This requires really rigorous state-by-state and, crucially, urban versus rural planning. Moving on to part 2, the penetration ceiling, the hard limit on reach. So there's this sort of invisible brick wall in the data. Most of the leading states plateau in a really narrow 17.5 to 18.1% penetration band. And the data shows this happening even under a maximum, totally uncapped budget scenario. What this signals is a real structural limit. Basically, no matter how much money you pour into these leading states right now, you're going to hit a hard ceiling on new reach. And this totally highlights the flip side of that coin, the lagging states. Take Bihar, for example. Huge population, right? A staggering 134 million people. But its CTV reaches just 8.35 million. That's a mere 6.2% penetration, meaning over 125 million people in Bihar sit completely outside the reach of a maximized CTV campaign today. They're just in the dark, digitally speaking. 6 major states, including Bihar, West Bengal, and Odisha, sit way below that 18% ceiling. They represent a massive structural shortfall, sure, but they also represent the absolute biggest untapped future opportunity. Okay, section 3, frequency is not engagement, diagnosing algorithmic ceilings. In this specific CTV context, a high ad frequency isn't necessarily a sign of deep, loving viewer engagement with your brand. Actually, it simply means the platform has run out of new households to show your ad to. It's just an algorithmic outcome. The system has to spend your budget, right? So if it can't find new eyeballs, it just hammers the exact same households over and over again. You're basically paying to be the annoying house guest who just won't leave, rather than paying for fresh reach. And the financial impact of this, it's honestly wild. Just look at this stark 20-fold spread in costs. On the same platform in the same country, you can buy incremental reach for a mere 9 paise in urban Himachal Pradesh, but if you're fighting for that same new reach in rural Jharkhand, it's going to cost you $1.75 per user. Cheap and deep definitely do not always travel together. Planners chasing pure volume and planners chasing cost efficiency are often going to be looking at entirely different maps. So the big takeaway here is this formula. When you see a rising cost per reached user paired with sky-high average frequencies and low absolute reach, you are hitting a hard reach ceiling. For instance, the data shows rural Jharkhand hitting an average frequency of 35.5 times. Guys, that is not a performance win. That is the algorithm desperately trying to spend your money in a genuinely constrained inventory pool. Which brings us to section 4, the urban-rural reversal, debunking the urban premium. This is a total flip of what most people assume. 5 of our major growth-driving states are seeing rural CTV penetration completely blow past urban adoption. Take Gujarat, which shows the most extreme instance of this reversal. In Gujarat, urban penetration sits at 9.7%, but rural penetration nearly triples to 27.0%. We're seeing rural beat urban in states like Telangana, Kerala, Punjab, and Haryana, too. It completely shatters this outdated idea that CTV is strictly an urban premium product.
It's not random, though. We can track this using the PLFS ratio, which measures household spending parity between urban and rural areas. In states with high equality, where that spending gap is narrow, like Kerala at a ratio just 1.23, rural CTV penetration beats urban. But in states with high disparity, like Jharkhand, where the ratio is well over the national average of 2.17, CTV stays very comfortably urban skewed. Wherever the household spending gap shrinks, the CTV reach gap closes right along with it.
Plus, there's this fascinating structural quirk the report points out called the administrative recalculation trap. Basically, census maps are incredibly outdated. They heavily lag behind real estate development. Fast-growing, modern, high-density housing corridors around hubs like Hyderabad, Bengaluru, and Ahmedabad are officially labeled rural by old census maps. The Reach Planner detects their highly urban digital behavior, but files them under rural. This means advertisers are competing fiercely and driving up costs for a relatively small pool of highly affluent peri-urban homes that are just miscategorized on paper. All right, Section 5, the untapped UP opportunity, the largest pool of unreached homes. Uttar Pradesh is a literal behemoth. We're talking about the largest total population in India at 248 million and the largest absolute CTV reach at 26.7 million. But here's the kicker. That reach is driven by sheer population size, not deep adoption. The penetration is only 10.8%, which is well below that 18% structural ceiling we talked about earlier. Specifically, rural UP has a staggering 193 million strong population sitting at just 10.1% penetration. This makes UP the absolute best target for patient, sustained investment aimed at long-term reach growth. To really wrap our heads around that scale, think about this. If you're looking for absolute volume, combining Uttar Pradesh with Maharashtra gives you a reach of over 50 million viewers. Just let that sink in for a second. That covers nearly a third of Kantar's entire national 166 million CTV figure, captured in just 2 states. This is exactly what we mean when we say you have to look at state-level dynamics to understand where the growth is actually anchored. Finally, let's bring it all together in Section 6, the Media Planner's Playbook, Actionable Investment Postures. So, how do we use all this? The data points to blending 4 distinct investment plays. First, the scale play. If you need countrywide awareness, anchor heavily in UP and Maharashtra to grab those 50 million viewers. Second, the efficiency play. If you want the absolute lowest cost for incremental user, target urban Himachal Pradesh, Haryana, and Uttarakhand, where it costs mere paise. Third, the growth play. Prioritize rural UP to tap into the largest pool of unreached digital living rooms. And finally, the maturity play. In saturated markets like Telangana and Kerala, you have to realize that extra budget just buys frequency. So you need to measure success on creative impact there, not incremental reach. By mixing these postures, planners can finally stop overpaying for repetition. State-specific CTV planning, it's absolutely not optional anymore. It is a necessity. Marketers who ignore this will just keep burning budget on algorithmic repetition while leaving the country's largest growth pools completely untouched. After seeing how fragmented, reversed, and totally diverse these state-level dynamics truly are, I want to leave you with this one question to take back to your teams. Are you still planning your 2026 CTV campaigns on a national average? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.